It's Wednesday, June the 3rd, and Millsap in the morning from the Ozark Fiber Studios in downtown Lebanon. Here in Lebanon, we believe local matters, and that includes your internet. Ozark Fiber is a Missouri-based company bringing high-speed fiber internet to our community. That means faster speeds, reliable connections, and support from people who actually live and work right here. Experience the difference with Ozark Fiber. Check your availability at ozarkfiber.com. Oh, it should be a great day, and we've got a great show on hand. Dr. Jeffrey Mutchler is going to be with us. He's a Ward 3 councilman at the City of Lebanon and a local orthopedic surgeon at Lake Regional. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Glad to be here.
I've been torn about what I really wanted to talk about, whether I want to talk about orthopedic stuff or if I want to talk about city council stuff, so we may weave all of that kind of into this show.
Okay.
You know, once you reach my age, I just turned 65 a few months ago. Can I get free consultation as we sit here?
Sure.
And talk about things. Should be a great day. Weather's going to be near perfect as we start the first, what I call the first full week of summer, though officially summer doesn't start until the 21st of June. But today, high around 81, low humidity, no rain in the forecast today. I was in Oklahoma City the past few days, and it was hot down there and no rain. I guess we were having all kinds of rain up here and stuff. You did your residency in Tulsa, so you're familiar with Oklahoma humidity.
Yeah, very familiar, and with tornadoes. But the tornadoes seem to be moving with us.
Yeah, we seem to get more of that than what they even do. Well, I was down there for the College Softball World Series, and then we're following the Mid-Missouri Angels, which is a 14U softball team that played in a tournament called what was that called? Road to the Show, which is part of the festivities of the College World Series down there, the Softball World Series. The girls are based out of Lebanon and Stoutland and Buffalo and Plato and Ava and Osage Beach, and they took first place in the Gold Division, going 6-1-1 during the tournament. I know you're a big sports fan, and of course, a lot of your medical practice is around sports injuries. So, right. I went down to the Softball World Series. First time I've been to that. And, the place was packed. And I can remember years ago, and this is really going to date me, back to about 1981, I was doing Central Missouri State Jennies softball on the radio, and you might have 5 people in the stands. Yeah. This place was packed. It's really grown.
It has. I pick it up on ESPN or whatever, right. Watch it. Didn't used to.
Right.
But, now you do.
Yeah.
And they're good.
Yeah, they are very good, and they're fun to watch. It's a fast-paced game. Yep. They only play 7 innings, and it was a lot of fun to go down there and watch them. And then got to watch our girls. My daughter plays on that, or my granddaughter plays on that Mid-Missouri Angels team, and then my son coaches that. And I bet there were 100, close to 100 teams probably down there playing all over the metro area down in Oklahoma City. And we were talking before we went on the air, all this traveling team stuff has become really a cottage industry in a lot of ways. So I'm going to ask you this. I want to get into the medical stuff before we get into anything else. Are you seeing more and more kids now with sports-related injuries?
Yes, and overuse injuries usually. But they hide them a lot, which, the coaches need to be aware of that and watch for it. And that's an important thing for them in the future. But, kids are playing a lot of games, and they're overusing things.
Yeah.
We're not seeing a lot of torn ligaments, ACLs, of course, especially females in basketball, but softball also. My sister tore her ACL sliding into second back in 1980, and they didn't do anything with them back then.
Oh, I bet that's right.
And now she has a total knee. So.
And they've come so far with all these surgeries of repairing things. But I can remember, and you probably did too, and when you played back in the day, if you had a knee injury, a lot of times that was career ending, and that's not necessarily so now.
Yeah, Gale Sayers.
Yeah,
Billy Sims. Pretty much ended his career.
Yeah, and a lot of those guys were able to play through really bad knee injuries. I go back to, and again, I'm a little bit older, so I go back to Joe Namath.
Yeah.
And horrible knee injuries, and the fact that he was able to play in the NFL for as long as he did, that's really remarkable.
Really is. His knees were shot.
Yeah.
And before he even was finished playing.
Yeah. Mickey Mantle, the same way, who had his knee surgery done at St. John's Hospital in Springfield.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he hit his knee, I want to say in the 51 World Series, hit a sprinkler that was out in the field and tore up his knee, and really didn't have good knees through the entire time. So just a lot of things, sports-related injuries. You made an interesting comment that they hide that a lot. It's tough for those kids because they were so competitive and it's driven into them to admit that they're hurt.
Yeah. So the coaches need to watch it. I mean, and the parents do too. And you can pick it up, but they will try to hide it from you.
Right. And one of the things that we talked about before we went on the air about this overusage is now at the high school level where I'm coaching now, they do have a pitch count, but with these traveling teams and all that coaches need to be cognizant of what is too much. And sometimes that's hard to determine because it's what's too much sometimes for that particular kid, I would think.
Right, and it depends on their degree of skeletal maturity, and don't forget the throws they make that you don't know, and the coaches don't know about, the parents don't know about, and they're playing with their friends and throwing, and they probably need to be resting.
Let me do some quick news and happenings around the area. The Texas Swing Music Group out of Nashville, Sleep at the Wheel, will be in Lebanon for a free concert at Boswell Park on Friday, kicking off the weekend events of the Route 66 Festival. The event runs through Saturday. Food, trucks, old cars, dunk tank. By the way, celebrity dunk tank. I've done that a couple of times for Bruce Owen, who Bruce Owen, by the way, one of the great people in Lebanon, and you can't turn him down.
Yeah.
He would call, ask me to do this dunk tank, and I figured out real quick, you don't want to be the last person in the dunk tank because there's not enough water at the end of the day, and you hit bottom a lot.
Yep.
And Lynn Stowe was always around to make sure that if people didn't hit the little lever, the dot with a ball, that he just come push it and you'd go anyway.
Yep.
So if you're scheduled and you're scheduled for the last, be ready for hitting the bottom. But anyway, a lot of fun up there. They'll kick off the celebration 100 years on the Mother Road with the relighting the Munger Moss sign. That's already happened, and that was a lot of fun. The city now owns the iconic sign. It will be lit up every night from 8 to midnight. On June 11th, the Laclede County Republican Central Committee will host a celebration of the United States 250th anniversary, the 100th year of Route 66. The event will be held at the Mills Center. Local candidates for public office will be there. The cost is $10. You get a hot dog, drink, and chips. There'll be a pie auction. By the way, we're going to auction off apple pie, so you can't beat old cars. Was the old commercial Chevrolet hot dogs and apple pie. So there'll be a pie auction, wagon rides, old cars. The event starts at 5:30, and again, that's at the Mills Center. Polk County Circuit Court Judge Christopher Limbaugh has rejected a lawsuit challenging Amendment 5, a plan to get rid of Missouri's income tax. A retired teacher named Jill Owens filed a lawsuit against the Secretary of State, Denny Hoskins, contending the proposal ballot measure is unconstitutional because she says it has more than one subject. Governor Mike Kehoe wants to ask Missouri voters in August to gradually eliminate the state income tax over 5 years. The Republican-controlled state legislature passed his proposal this year that could swap the loss of tax revenues with a change in sales tax, as well as a variety of goods and services. Missouri's current income tax is about 4.7%. The court announced the decision on Monday. An appeal was quickly filed. This was a topic that we covered last week with Representative Melissa Schmidt here on Millsap in the Morning. They got a lot of play with social comments, and I will tell you that looking at some of the comments on social media, which drives me crazy, by the way, sometimes, and we want people to share their likes and comments to this show, but listen to the whole interview. And I think that's important. Is sometimes we live in a society of clips.
Of clips, that's right.
You know, and clips and
little
likes.
Bites. Yeah,
and sound bites. So changes be coming into college athletics that might impact Missouri schools and student athletes. U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt, a Republican from Missouri, is backing a bipartisan proposal aimed at setting new national rules for transfers, eligibility, and how college sports generates revenue. Schmidt said the goal is to restore stability after years of legal challenges that have limited the NCAA's authority. The proposal, known as Protect College Sports Act, would allow conferences and voluntary pool media rights in an effort to increase revenue. Schmidt said this could help offset financial pressure that are threatening smaller sports programs. I know you follow sports a lot, and I'm not a big fan of the portal. No. I'm good with paying kids for their likeness and image, but it's gone way beyond that now.
Yeah, it's out of control. I'm an anti-portal guy. I mean, at least one time maybe.
Yeah.
But they just move around.
Yeah, and I'm okay with the idea of each athlete having an opportunity to move if a coach moves or something of that nature. But there needs to be some strengthening of that. And I think that the bill that Schmidt is proposing will do some of that. We'll be back with more Millsap in the Morning right after this on Lebanon Now.
I'm Jeremy Goforth.
And I'm Holly Goforth, and we're with Legacy Homes. So this house sits in Legacy Trails. This is a 68-acre subdivision that sits right next to Ashley Park. Approximately 127 lots that we will be building on. What's unique about this subdivision is that we're connecting Ashley Park's trails into our subdivision that will go through our subdivision and connect back to the park.
The Legacy Trails, we have all kinds of homes. The minimum is 1,500 square foot, high efficiency, new construction homes. If you're interested in this house or any other home in Legacy Trails, we have 10 house plans available. Contact Legacy Homes at
417-718-1962 or 417-718-2051, and don't forget to look us up on Facebook.
Town talk, a little hometown swing. Wake up with Millsap in the morning. From the brick on Commercial to old 66.
Our guest is Dr. Jeffrey Mutchler, who's a city councilman, orthopedic surgeon at Lake Regional. And I can't decide what I want to talk about. I want to talk about all these sports, and because we share a likeness in Lebanon sports, and we talked a minute ago about gearing up for really a favorite time for Lebanon folks is coming up in the fall. We got to get through summer, but we're big Lebanon Yellow Jacket football fans.
Absolutely.
That program. What do you think about the new conference?
It brings a couple of teams. We need to play Camden.
Yeah.
That was a big loss for them and us.
Yeah.
And, maybe a little less traveling, but overall, I'm for it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of wanting to go to Joplin and Neosho and going down there to play, but to renew that rivalry with Campton, and we got to do that during the playoffs this year. But I think that'll be a lot of fun. And of course, I go back in the day at Lebanon, having grown up here, that Waynesville was a huge rivalry, even really somewhat before Camden. So that'll be fun to have them back in the conference.
Yeah, well, they've been down a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what's going on over there, but they were always good.
Yeah, they were always good.
Tough game.
Especially when Rick Vernon, who's a Hall of Fame coach, was in charge of that. Let's talk a little bit about city council stuff. And I want to hit this rebranding issue that was brought up. New logo. A lot of comments on social media. Again, sometimes those comments are out there and they're not well rehearsed or not rehearsed, I guess. Research would be a better term of that. But I think there is some consternation, and I kind of get it. Rebranding of the logo, and that it's more than just a logo.
Right.
Tell me about the thought process for city council and why they decided to go this way with a new marketing scheme.
Well, again, rebranding the city is really more for people outside the city than it is for us, in my opinion. We're trying to put out an image and attract attention to people coming through, to get people to come vacation here, bring businesses here. Felt like it needed to be updated just a little bit over where we were. The logo itself, I was a little surprised how much resistance there was to it. It's not the greatest ever. You have to be careful with the L, and you don't want the L to be loser.
Right,
so you've got. Right. So how do you fashion an L with colors and this, that, or other? If you get Lebanon in there, that adds more to everything. It expands it out. So kind of a clean, modern, more modern look was probably what we were after. And it's not been received real well. But we'll see where we go with that in the future.
And the first thing I thought about when I started seeing the comments and the rebranding was Cracker Barrel and the mistake they made when they tried to go out and redefine who they are. We saw that years ago. I go back and date myself when Coca-Cola tried to rebrand themselves with New Coke. There was a backlash here in the community, but again, your audience is not necessarily the community, but I get it also at $75,000 in a working class community. That's a lot of money, though a small part of city budget.
Right. City budget this year, $80 million. Every 75,000, every 40,000, every 25,000, it makes a difference, and you have to budget it out. But this was decided to do. We made the decision to do this with the ability for public comment last year. But we wish people would get a little more involved a little bit earlier in some of this stuff. But I don't know that I can say that. What kind of change we're going to make, but I mean, it's possible that we might, make an adjustment to this, but I'm only one guy on the council,
right?
So,
and a little bit of this idea that we're going to rebrand, and again, I'm like you, and this probably comes from my conservative nature of it's an $80 million budget, 75,000 is a very small percentage. In fact, not even 8% of the budget. But it's still $75,000 in a community where utility rates just went up, and you can understand when people see that why they would have an issue with that. I think on the cost side,
right. A lot of things have hit. The readjustment of property tax rates over the last couple of years have been that's created a lot of heartburn for a lot of people, and that was a catch-up, and I don't think a lot of people understand that, the state, everybody kind of fell asleep and didn't really stay up the way we should have, with inflation and everything else. It was nice having low property tax rates, but that is how we pay for stuff in a civilized society, in a community, a county, and a city, but that, I think that got everything fired up, don't you?
Yeah. I talked about this last week with Representative Schmidt. I look at property tax, and I'd like my property tax to go away.
Yeah.
Things that I've paid for years, property that I own that I continually have to pay a tax on. But she made a comment, which is so true. I also want the fire truck to show up when I need it.
Correct.
And trying to find that balance of, and I'll see these comments on Facebook that says what government has to work within its budget. That's fine, and I understand that. I spent 42 years working for the government.
Right.
But I also understand that, like everything else, almost like any other business, the demand on government for services continues to go up. You've got to be able to pay that. So I'm okay if people go, listen, we can lessen the services of government to reduce the budget.
Right. What services do you want to reduce?
Yes, exactly.
And we don't generate our own power, so we have to buy the power. So, and then this has been, I've only been on the city council 5 years, and it gives me heartburn every time we have to buy a new transformer just because of the cost goes up every single time. And we have some things, we're trying to get ahead of some of that. When you go buy stuff one-off, and you don't have, anything in reserve, you're just at the mercy of the suppliers. And, I mean, inflation has hit the whole country, and that includes electric transformers, wiring, copper wiring.
Well, and I talked about my trip to Oklahoma over the weekend, and I think the highest gas price I paid was $4.12. By the way, it was a little bit cheaper in Oklahoma, except for the place that I stopped. I made the mistake of stopping at a truck stop because I needed to get something to eat, and the gas was like $4 I don't know, 17 a gallon or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But you see that on the government side of things, that while you buy or often bid for your gas prices, they still have the ability, a cushion there to go up that you've not budgeted for.
Yeah. I haven't seen anything go down.
Right.
Anything.
Right.
And I don't think we will for a while. Hopefully, we will see a little moderation in the amount of or the rate of inflation, and we're starting to see that now.
So let's and I want to go back to the rebranding, and I don't know exactly. You were talking about trying to attract more businesses, trying to attract more people here. What will attract more people to Lebanon to spend more dollars here, do you think?
This downtown revitalization is one thing.
Right.
That has been a big deal. I would like to see some new manufacturing in town, and that brings more people, and that brings salaries and taxes. You know, getting people here, we need to have activities for them to do. The ball fields. That kind of came up at our city council meeting the other day. We're losing tournaments because we're getting all these rainouts. That brings people here. They go to the restaurants. They buy gas.
And people understand right now. And of course, you and I are involved in sports, and I know I probably make too big of a thing out of sports. I get that, but that's what we do, and that's what we do here in Millsap in the morning. It's my show. I'm making a big thing out of sports. Yeah. But you drive by the ballparks here on a Saturday, and Sunday even, they're filled with people.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of dollars.
And that's a lot of out of town people here.
Yeah. And where we're losing money at times, and I'm not advocating the city do this, but from an economic standpoint, as I said, it's just in Oklahoma City. And we were on the outskirts of Oklahoma City in a couple of different communities playing in that tournament. One of the facilities had turf fields. With the turf fields, there's no rainouts.
Right.
And so on a Saturday, when you're going to have a couple of thousand people here in the community at the restaurants, and if you don't think that it makes a difference, try to go eat at a place between about noon and 6 o'clock in the evening on a Saturday when a ball tournament's here. They're out and about. That washes out. Those folks go back home.
Yeah. Yeah. We lose that revenue.
Yeah.
So the adding turf to the infields, we'll probably never do the outfield also. That gets prohibitively expensive.
Right.
But and our outfields apparently drain pretty well, and they did a good job when they put them in. And but kids can run around and slide in the water a little bit in the outfield, but you can't play on a muddy infield.
Right.
You can't.
And again, I know the revenue is different when I'm talking about what they had in Oklahoma City and it was in Shawnee, and I think it was in Shawnee where they had the really nice fields and stuff right across the road from a casino on part of an Indian reservation. So there's money generated there, obviously, that we don't have here.
Right.
So I get that. Give me a quick update now before I go to another break. Give me a quick update on the golf course. I know there's been some change, I think, in management of that, or the manager that was hired is now gone. Tell me where you're at with that with the city.
Well, obviously we're going to have to hire a new general manager. Looking at the option of possible temporary. That's being debated right now. The irrigation project is moving forward. Should be done by October. That's a big project, and when I first moved to town in '95, that golf course, and I wasn't a golfer. I would play in Central Bank Charity Classic, and I'm terrible. I'm still terrible.
We have something in common.
Yeah, but people would comment that golf course was a nice, challenging with a good layout, and it has just deteriorated to the point that something had to happen. And I know a lot of people don't play golf and don't understand, but that is also important. Say you want to get a new industry to come to town. If most of their upper management people are going to be golfers, and if that is one thing that will make a decision on whether you get a new business or new industry in your town. You can't let it go away. You just cannot have it. A city this size And I'd call our city pretty modern, up to date, progressive. You know, and not from a left-wing progressive standpoint, but and I hate they stole that term. You know,
I do too. And
but it's an important part of your city, and it's like you can play the game till you're 90, and you can like start playing the game when you're 70, and still have fun at it.
And I don't play as much as I did back in the early 90s and late 80s when they redid the golf course out there, and it was very nice, and it's had its issues from a management standpoint and being the upkeep and the change in hands and all that. But there's an old story that goes around that the deal to bring Copeland in here was done on the tee box.
Yeah.
And people don't get that, and I'll just use this as an analogy, that if I'm going to sell boats to somebody, and I bring him in here to tour Bass Tracker, that I'm also going to take him out to the golf course and try to sell them, $100,000 or $200,000 worth of boats for their showroom. I'm going to put on a show to do that, and part of that is taking them out to dinner someplace nice and taking them out to play golf.
Yeah, and they'll enjoy that, and the condition we ended up in, you know, you almost didn't want to take people out there.
Right.
Just to be honest. It was getting pretty rough condition for a lot of reasons. I mean, some bad luck, a couple lightning strikes, maybe 3 lightning strikes in a row. And irrigation systems are very expensive, and wells are very expensive. And we're dealing with that with the city right now. And I don't know the total gallonage, but we use a lot of water in Lebanon, and we're lucky to have a giant subterranean lake right below us. So, but the wells wear out. They get about a 50-year lifespan, I think they said, and we're gonna have to get a new well, and then we're gonna have to repair another well. And that's getting off of the golf course, but it all comes together. The expenses that you have to go through to get to places, to get the golf course where it needs to be, and the city where it needs to be. Let me do this real quick, and word from our friends at Deputy and Mizell. Hurt in a wreck, facing charges, denied disability. Call Deputy and Mizell, Missouri lawyers dedicated to justice and results. With over 70 years of experience in personal injury, criminal defense, workers' compensation, and Social Security disability, from auto accidents and wrongful death to DWI, drug charges, and denied disability claims, their team fights to protect your rights and get the results you deserve. Offices in Lebanon and Camden, fighting for clients across the Ozarks. Free consultation, day, evening, or weekends. Call 877-532-2191. 877-532-2191. Jeffrey Mutchler is our guest here on Millsap in the Morning on this date. And I'm being told we're going to do one more commercial before we come back to you right after this on Millsap in the Morning.
Scott's Event Rentals. 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 Scott's Event Rentals.
I want to get to a couple of things with Dr. Mutchler about your ward in particular, but let's talk a little bit about the city council. And I know a lot of the members of the city council and the new members that have just joined you. Again, I sometimes I see the stuff on comments that are made and so, well, get rid of them. It's all about getting rich. I don't know that you get rich on the city council, considering you don't get paid.
No.
Or it used to be $1. Is it still $1?
No, we actually get paid $200
for an entire year.
No, it's a month.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's a month.
Well,
and that was before I got on there. So, but it's and I think that has something to do with Missouri statute. We're a Class 3 city. I would like to see us be a charter city, but I mean, and that changes a little bit of the way you can. It gives you a little more autonomy away from Jeff City, but you don't lose anything. But
give me your perspective of the folks on council and the work that you have to do and the time that it consumes. It's a good city council.
It is a good city council to a person. Since I've been on there, everybody, even the ones that aren't there now, of course, we all miss Gib. Gib would sit down there. He was kind of a no vote every once in a while, again, versus something I wanted, but it's like in his heart, he's doing it for the right reasons. But it's a good city council. We went through a period of time, this city, Kenneth Cowan had a council, and he was a mayor for several years, and that kind of was, when I first got here, that was kind of, and then Bud was the mayor for most of the time that I've been here until, 12 years ago?
Yeah.
And then we went into a period of chaos.
Right.
And then you can't get anything done. And then you have city councils that just fight, and then you have, but right now, I believe everybody on there really cares about Lebanon and the future of Lebanon. And people don't fight. They don't always agree on everything, but they don't fight. There's no personal attacks. I enjoy having Dan Mizell on there. Sometimes I'm a doctor, he's a lawyer. Sometimes we all do it. It's like he is a good member, and he's fun.
I think that's the part that people don't understand, that we're so lucky here, because you can sit it and having worked 22 years for the city of Springfield, they'd have a lot of infighting among their members. They get nothing done regarding that. And it's not that I have to agree with Dr. Mutchler on every issue. I'm sure we could sit here and probably debate things, or Dan Mizell, and you could debate things. That doesn't mean you have to dislike each other.
That's correct. And we had a period of time where it wasn't that way.
Right.
And it wasn't a good look for our city. I don't know how much we grew during that time.
Right.
But I call it a lost decade.
Right.
Because it was about 10 years. And but it turned around before I even got on there, and it was headed in the right direction.
And I give credit to Jared Carr. I think he's in my lifetime, and I was here in the 80s, and was involved in a lot of things prior to me going to Springfield to work, that he's been one of the best mayors we've ever had, in bringing people together and having some vision of what we need to do.
Yeah, he's an excellent mayor. I hope he stays a little longer, but
you may have to prod him a little bit, or prod Mrs. Mayor.
Mrs. Mayor is
that as well. But we'll put that out for the mayor to. Maybe we'll bring Mrs. Mayor on.
That'd be good.
And do that.
Yeah.
Let's. I want to talk a little bit about your ward, which takes in a really huge part of the city from the south to the west. What we would call that Troutman area, the old Horseshoe Pond area, all the way over to Fremont. You got a lot of construction, especially over there by the middle school. That's a big construction project with the apartment complex.
That is the biggest apartment complex probably in the city.
Yeah.
And pretty good. It's not low end. It's not super high end, or inexpensive. But say we get a new business and we have a whole bunch of new employees. It's at least temporary housing to where we can build some more houses. And we do have a little bit of a housing shortage in the affordable range, and that's being corrected right now. There's quite a bit of building going on throughout the city, but that apartment complex, I think, is going to blend in really nice.
Do you know how many units are going to be over there?
I want to say 300-400.
Yeah, because I have to go there a lot, transporting the grandkids to the ballpark or going to see a game, and it just seems like it adds and adds and adds.
Yeah.
I think what helps, in my mind, it's going to be that affordable range. Without having issues. It's not public housing. I'll flat out say it.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have the issues that sometimes comes with that.
Right.
And that's important because of the location.
Right. Right there across from middle school, it's going to actually connect. They're building walking trails that will connect in with Harkey Park and then the city's trails. We're trying to get walking, biking trails connecting all the city parks and, actually to Harkey. And that shows up on the surveys when we do the surveys, and that pretty much everybody wanted that. So that was an easy one to start working on. We're doing a lot of, in our ward, there's been a lot of sidewalk work going on. It's a little more expensive if you don't plan ahead when you put in, housing subdivisions or apartment complexes. You need to plan, and I think we've got that a little bit better under control now. But to go back in later, you spend a lot more money.
And they're doing a project of a park. It's outside your ward, but not very far, and that's over at on the Mount Rose side, right before you get to Tower Road, and that's going to be a park as well. And that'll be a really nice area for a park.
Yeah, it will be. We're solving a water problem, creating a little bit of maybe a fishing lake or fishing pond, and then playground and typical park stuff. So,
and for us that live outside the city, that's not far from my house, so we're all for that. For the city to provide that for us. That's one of the things that makes you. And I talked to this with Jared Carr when he was on the show. Lebanon's unique in that it is really the hub of Laclede County. There's not, the city of Conway's 500 people. The village over at Phillipsburg, maybe a couple of hundred, if that. That everybody comes here to work, eat, to use the park system. Even if you're not a city resident, you're coming in. So that's I don't know what the daytime population here would be, but I would say that it probably exceeds 40,000.
Yeah. I don't know the number. Somebody knows that number. I have heard it, but it's like, it's a large number.
Yeah.
And which brings up the traffic
flow issue and all that.
And it's aggravating.
Right.
But we're working on that. I don't personally, and I hope they don't ever do it, just bypass Lebanon.
Right.
But we do need to get traffic to flow through Lebanon a little bit better.
Well, and I would agree with that, and I would, for my 2 cents, is that they killed businesses at Osage Beach.
Yeah.
So when they started bypassing, they bypassed so much it killed a lot of businesses.
Yeah, that Osage Beach Parkway.
Right.
Just a lot was lost there, and just we don't want that.
No, and it's been a long time since they've widened or did some stuff through Jefferson. I can remember about 1979, they went from the 2-lane, I think, to where it is now. So we're talking almost, 47 or 48 years ago. Yep. So I can see that there has to be some other things done, but we don't want to, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right. And I do want to let people know, as you come through town on Jefferson and the traffic lights irritate people and the timing and this, that, and the other, and it's like, we don't have control over that. That's MoDOT. So
that's a state highway, so they've got control of all that. Dr. Mutchler, thanks for joining us. You have to come back so we can talk about a variety of things.
We'll just keep going.
We'll do that. Yeah. We're back here next Wednesday right here, Millsap in the morning. Don't forget to tune in to Lebanon Now. All kinds of shows on Lebanon Now. In fact, they pop up live shows all the time, so make sure you're checking in. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and on YouTube. Until next Wednesday, I'm David Millsap. So long, everybody.